About 7 years already?
Wait.
Not a level.
Morning, ladies. Welcome to Suva, very fertile, overcast Suva. So for those from the west and from the north, when you leave, we hope we could share with you a bit of our rain that could, just help with the fertility of the land. It's my honor just to welcome the Minister for Women, Children and Poverty Alleviation, Honorable Mereseni Rakwita Vuniwanga. All of us all know the Honorable Minister. May you please just welcome her first in the usual show of appreciation. And we also welcome the Chair of the Board of Trustees of FemLINKPACIFIC, Dr. Rajini Chand. This is the final national convening of the Rural Women Leaders Community Media Network. We've been having lots of monthly convenings, and also prior to this we had a national convening that was held in Nandi. For this particular event, it's really, really important because we will be looking at our core function and a lot of work that we do as a feminist community media organization. We will be revisiting our role, and there's also the work that leads up to the review of the Beijing Platform for Action, which is what our governments have committed to. For us, in FemLINKPACIFIC, we've specifically looked at Section J, which is women and the media, and that is what we will be discussing over the next few days. And also we will be looking at our role, where we constantly discuss 1325, Women, Peace and Security, and that's the and for that specifically, that's connected to the elimination of violence against women and girls. So this is going to be a very interesting space to be in, and also your representatives of your networks from the north, west and central. There's plans for expansion and so forth. This is going to be the space for it. But before, in the next session, we will be talking that a bit more. But first of all, let's just welcome again our guest, Dr. Rajini Chand, who's representing the Board of Trustees, who will say a few words to welcome the Minister and also welcome all of you. And then from then, we will welcome the Minister for, we will welcome the Minister to our forum. Thank you all.
Good morning to all of you. I know I can see the women from the north and the west all wrapped up. Yes, you are bringing the warmth to Suva that we all look forward to, because Suva is famous for its rain, the cold weather, and a bit of depression, but we are not mentally depressed. So welcome to the last or the final convening that we have for the National Rural Women's Leaders Community and Media Network. This is the last gathering of that kind this year, and it is my pleasure as the chair for the board to welcome you. But first of all, I'd like to welcome Honorable Mereseni Rakwita Vuniwanga, who is a very close friend as well. And it's a pleasure to have someone representing women and a woman representing women. That in itself is a strength for all of us. And added to that, have a look around the room. All of you are representing the 7 pillars that we all in FemLINK stand for. You are the best who can represent what these things are, what we stand for, and what we always think need to be addressed, need to be shown, need to be written, need to be actually broadcast, because that is what FemLink also stands for. So have a look around the corridor, around the room itself. We have women who actually know a lot about the economy because they are the breadwinners. They are the one who light the kitchen fire in the morning. Have a look around you. You are the ones who plan the meals. You are the ones who are the most worried when someone in the family gets sick. You are the one who is the most concerned when there is anything wrong with our environment because it affects you. You are also the one who will become very upset when there is a personal issue relating to someone in your family or yourself itself. Again, if anyone is affected in the community, whether it is a local or national or political, you are the ones who have the ears to the ground. So for that, as well as to know more about what you have to tell us, it's really a pleasure to welcome all of you to the gathering here. Thank you.
Good morning once again, ladies. I have the pleasure of introducing to you and providing a summary with regards to our Madam Minister. Honorable Mrs. Marasini Vuniwanga is the Minister for Women, Children and Poverty Alleviation for the Government of the Republic of Fiji. She gained her law degree from the University of Tasmania in Australia and received her graduate diploma in legal practice from the Australian National University in 1997. She began her career as a legal officer in the Office of the Attorney General in Suva in 1998 and rose through the ranks in the government legal service until she left the civil service in March of 2013 as the Acting Permanent Secretary for Justice, Anti-Corruption and Communications. During her tenure in the Attorney General's chambers, Honorable Vuniwanga served in concurrent capacities as Chairperson of the Telecommunications Authority of Fiji, Chairperson of the National Working Group on Copyright, and the Chairperson of the National Anti-Money Laundering Council. After her 13.5 years of service in government, she started her own legal consultancy firm in Suva. She contested the general elections in September 2014 under the Fiji First Party banner and secured a seat in Parliament. She was subsequently appointed the Minister for Lands and Mineral Resources from September 2014 until 19 September 2016, when she became the new Minister for Women, Children and Poverty Alleviation. She is passionate about the empowerment of women and their contribution to sustainable development in this day and age. And she currently resides in Suva with her husband and 3 children. Madam, thank you once again for joining us this morning. Vinaka.
The Chair of the Board of Trustees of FemLINKPACIFIC, Dr. Rajni Chand, Executive Director for FemLINKPACIFIC and staff, Executive Directors of Fiji Women's Rights Movement and Fiji Council of Social Services, representatives of Fiji Women's Fund, women leaders and representatives of the Rural Community Media Network, media partners, ladies and gentlemen. Bula Vina and a very good morning to you all. It's a great pleasure for me to be here with you this morning and to share this space with women leaders from across the country. On behalf of the Fijian government and as the national women's machinery, I wish to sincerely commend the immense and tireless efforts being put together towards bridging the gender gap, promoting gender equality, and women's empowerment throughout your networks, platforms, and spaces. I'd like to personally thank each and every one of you for the work that you currently do in the communities that you live in to bridge this gender gap day in and day out. The thriving active networks that exist in your rural localities shows the level of commitment and endurance you individually contribute towards the revitalization of rural women's life experiences for the betterment of their families and communities. On the same note, I also wish to acknowledge the continuous support of our development partners, the Australian Government Pacific Women's Programme through the Fiji Women's Fund, and the United Nations Trust Fund in supporting the work of civil society and the women's movement at large. I've continuously emphasized this in numerous platforms. Government cannot do this work alone. We need you, and we need each other in advocating for the achievement and progress of women and girls in Fiji. The theme chosen for the 3 days ahead upholds key principles and pillars of the Women's Peace and Security Agenda, and specifically with the two main objectives you will be deliberating on. One, strengthening a women-led community media network in Fiji as the heart of amplifying voices of rural women, and two, ending violence against women. You have the support of the Ministry of Women, Children and Poverty Alleviation in deliberating those key fundamental issues, and especially so when you have taken an inclusive approach with the participation of the Fiji People's Disability Federation in voicing concerns of our functioning challenged communities. It is only through such an inclusive process will we be able to achieve the overarching development goal of leaving no one behind. The Ministry stands in support of your invaluable work, and we all recognize the importance of elevating the visibility of rural women's leadership. The strengthening of a vibrant women-led community media network in the West and North, and may I add the possibility of reaching out to other districts in the Central and possibly the Eastern Division, is commendable. An increased availability of media content from rural areas produced by both young and elderly women or representatives of our disability bodies brings to the fore key grounded and deep-seated issues. The amplification of women's voices, and in particular, marginalized women, is critical for the fulfillment of our development agenda. We all know that women bring a different perspective to the table, but what good would that perspective be if there were no mechanism to hear about it? The same would be true in relation to the elimination of violence against women. For decades, violence against women in Fiji has always been seen as a private matter, thriving in a shroud of silence within the walls of a home. The implementation of legal reforms, policies, and programs which sought to amplify the voices of women changed the dynamics of violence in our country, and for the first time gave us a true picture of the cancer that it had become. We need yours and all our voices amplified to make transformative change and to progress commitments in the priority sectors for gender equality and the empowerment of Fijian women and girls. The Pacific region on its own has some of the highest rates of violence against women recorded in the world. And as the United Nations and other donor partners have documented, an estimated 2 in every 3 Pacific women are impacted by gender-based violence. I commend all of you for coming forward as women leaders to keep the conversation going. This convening will also draw particular attention to the root causes of violence experienced by women and girls through the use of appropriate and accessible media. These would also mean the amplifying of prevention strategies and the localizing of women's human rights. May I state that your event complements the current priorities of the Fijian government, especially in relation to the aptly chosen sub-themes of amplifying women's voices and the elimination of violence against women. In the next few months, the Ministry of Women, Children and Poverty Alleviation will be consolidating a national prevention strategy against violence against women through an inclusive and consultative process. In doing so, we will be counting on the voices of women and girls, amplified through organizations like FemLINK, to ensure that pertinent issues are addressed. Media plays a critical role in advocating development issues, and I look forward towards the reflections and the commitments you envisage to achieve in the coming year. I wish you all a very productive 3 days ahead of you, and declare the 2019 national convening of the Rural Women Leaders Community Media Network open. Vinavalehu.